I am extremely nervous. I want to not do any of this. It started out as a joke, but after having a few people who heard that joke go, do it. Like, well, no. And now, yes. If you can believe it, what a weird turn of events. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Don't Kiss News. Don't Kiss News. We might go through a lot of things. We might do a lot of things. But no matter how bleak it looks, no matter how fun the ride on the sewer slide might look, we don't kiss. Welcome to the first episode of Don't Kiss News. I'm your host. I don't have a cool name for myself. Do I just say Anthony? Gross. I'm not like super fond of me. I actually I don't think I have enough to say to make a podcast, but I figured to give it a shot and see what you guys think. Whoever you guys are, wherever you guys are, whenever you guys are, I will not lie to you when I tell you that I am racked with anxiety. And so, you know what I think? I have segment ideas. I have a lot of things written down, and I have this in front of me because I've been told that I've seen many podcast / shows where the person has a laptop in front of them and like a giant microphone arm where you can see the microphone. Oh my God, this is so bizarre. I have a show. I have a YouTube, I have a Twitch, I have a band that I've performed live music with, but all of those things have a noise or a thing in the background that are helping me, I think, cope with how I feel or how nervous I am or whatever. This is a bizarre thing to do or deal with, but I'm just gonna Alex Jones that. Nope, I don't want to do that. I'm just gonna come right out and say it, folks. Today's episode is sponsored by that moment when you tell your friends a joke and you're like, what if you have a podcast called Don't Kiss News, where it's Don't KYSS. And when you begin to explain some of the things you could say, you know, how like dark and deep things can get and it'd be horrible, but then maybe you can make them laugh and you end it with like, we don't kiss. All right. And maybe it would bring like some form of awareness and comedy to people who have have no real desire to listen to the very instructional, much more like where it feels like you're, you know, in a classroom, because classrooms are boring and I draw during them and then I get yelled at. But you wrap all of that up and then your friends are like, nah, but do it. And now you're doing a podcast where maybe you can talk to people and identify with them about things in life that go on and how, sure, it can get dark, but like, let's just ride it out because around here, we don't kiss. Now, I want to get into so many things. Mostly because I feel like everything I could get into is all of maybe a sentence or two, but I realize I've taken up like 4 minutes of time just doing like the intro and the sponsor. So I want to get into kind of introducing this. There's going to be segments and bits and things here and there that are going to be like, I think, helpful to the ADHD people in the crowd and myself. Listening to me rant for 45 minutes can be really fun. Sure it can. So I want to introduce a theme, a topic of conversation, maybe talk about that for a while, but also have bits and things like that. We're going to crack this case wide open, boys. I hope you're ready for the ride of a lifetime. And the first thing I want to talk about is how extremely odd and nerve-wracking this feels. I don't understand how people just try this out. don't even usually listen to podcasts, so I don't know how any of this really works. This is just going to be my best guess, to the best of my ability, what I thought would work or be fun to me and be engaging to you. I hope. I have a lot of anxiety. I don't even want to go by my first name. I want to have like a host name. So I don't know what to call myself. And maybe we'll figure that out. I'm wearing, like, for people who aren't watching on on a screen, because this is a podcast, I'm wearing a jean vest, like a battle vest, if you've heard of that, but I cut the sleeves off of it and I have covered it in like pins and spikes and patches. I'm wearing like a bucket hat. I've got a cool like bird skull earring, and like I've got beads on my wrists, and all of that feels like a security blanket. All of that feels like something that's kind of holding me together, that like if I need to, I could shove my hands in my jean jacket pockets, in my jacket pockets. I think that what I'm attempting to have with this content and this project is an engagement with people who maybe are feeling a little down or negative or whatever, that I will be as open and honest and transparent as I can be. I am not by any means a doctor. I don't know who thinks or would act like they are, so I don't give legal advice and I don't give medical advice. It's not the case. I will read things off the internet and I'll tell you my experiences, and I will hope that I can make you chuckle and maybe get your mind off of something and maybe want to write a 7-paragraph dissertation in a comment section that I'll never read, that will maybe leave you feeling a little more satisfied. I got diagnosed late in life, like 2 years ago in life, at age 33 in life, with ADHD, depression, and anxiety. Not a fun way to live. Personally, not a fun way to live. Not knowing what's wrong with you. When somebody asks, like, what's wrong with you? And you don't have an answer, you have no clue. And, a lot of people doing like self-diagnosing and things like that now. I think that's been around for a long time. I just thought I need more discipline. I need more willpower. I need more personal strength. I need more inner strength. I just need to be better. I need to pray more. I need to avert my eyes from yada, yada, yada. The list goes on of like all the things I was just like, none of those things are bad, but I was asked, it was more as being bullied as a joke. It was just really funny, but it was like I was doing something. It was like something with your ADHD ass, and I was like, the what? Me? I don't know. And I looked up all of the like symptoms and stuff. That's not just like, oh my gosh, I'm easily distracted. That's not remotely all that ADHD has to offer in the way of being an absolutely horrifying and crippling problem. It's quite wild. A few years before that, I should go in chronological order maybe, but I won't. I'll go there now. So when I was a teenager, I was a younger lad. I was 16 maybe, something like that. I had called the girl I was with or breaking up with or whatever at the time, and I told her all the things that were going through my mind. A lot of no feeling, that the thought was there, that normally in some instances it would invoke a feeling or whatever in me, but it wasn't this time. It just felt blank. It's like something just like overstimulated and then like popped into just nothing. And she said, that's called depression. I was like, wow, that's pretty wild. And I denied having it. I always felt like to say anything about it would be utilizing it as a crutch, admitting that I have it, a lot of that, which, man, tough. And then jump forward to, golly, 5 years ago. So I was like 29 or 30, going through a lot of stuff. I was effectively homeless. I would go back to this hotel that I was staying at, but I couldn't get myself to move from the car. I wouldn't want to go upstairs. I wouldn't, and it wasn't for fear of anything. It was just that movement felt like such a horrible thing in those moments. And it would take me over an hour to go inside. One of my friends at that time, I was like, yeah, so this happens to me. Haha. And they were like, that's anxiety. And I was like, no, shut up. You know? Because I never really judged people or said like, oh, you're using it as a crutch. But what's fine for other people isn't fine for me. And that's a great sign of anxiety. It's a great sign of ADHD. That's a great sign of depression. What's fine for other people, what I would never judge you for, what I would wholeheartedly believe if you told me, because why, what else would it matter but for me to hear you and see you and be so grateful that you were willing to open up and talk to me. I should only react in a way that is, let me believe you, let me talk to you. If you need anything, let me just listen to you. I'm right here. But for me, it's not that way. And it should be. And I'm trying to learn it. There's a lot of factors, I'm sure, that go into how that feeling comes to be. And I don't think that other people wouldn't believe me. It's that my mind tells me I'm lying. Tells me I'm using it as a crutch. It's an excuse. Thanks, Mom. Appreciate that. There's a lot to go into about how that happened because I never said any of those things to my mom. But when everything else is an excuse and everything else is a crutch and your family like calls this or that, it's so dumb. I want to cut myself off. I do. I don't want to listen to myself ramble again. It feels dark. It feels sad. I don't want people to feel bad for me. And I don't know how entertaining this is or how like anything this is. I'm so unaware of how anything will work out ever. So that's great because my thought was on this first episode to go through maybe some less common symptoms of things like anxiety or things like ADHD or whatever. I Googled this because it was very interesting. Digestive issues. I actually had a solid period of time where I called out of work for like 2 weeks. And once I tried to walk to work despite my stomach, because the problem was when I was home, I didn't feel that way. When I went to walk outside or do any of that stuff, suddenly this ball of absolute no, don't go anywhere. I tried to walk to work and it's a little over a mile to get there. And I got maybe a tenth of a mile from my apartment. I threw up. I just had to go back home and lay down. But like an hour after that, all that went away, knowing that I feeling like, okay, I don't have to go to work. It was a huge problem with anxiety, perfectionism, the feeling of if I don't get it right, it's going to be a whole huge and it's going to spiral like my thoughts right now. Indecisiveness, because again, if I don't get it right, if I don't know what to do because I don't know what the outcome will be, or I don't know what to do because it all sounds good or bad. I don't know what to do and it's like brain fog is a big thing. Avoidance is a big thing. When I see my phone ring and I don't want to pick it up, it's a lot. One of the things that I have a personal story on with all I mean, all of these things for anxiety, absolutely. Uh, but one thing that caught me off guard that was like, oh, that's a little bizarre, was so on this page it says that anxiety can trigger the fight or flight response, which means your body thinks it's under threat. Which means that, like, anxiety isn't just crippling up in a ball and like falling down and blah, 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 being absolutely done. Anxiety can be lashing out in anger, being mad over things you're stressed about. You know, just like I want to choose my words because I remember where I was walking. I was mad at something and I was like, is anger a symptom of anxiety? Because I'm so worried about this conversation, but at the same time as I'm worried about the conversation, I'm so done with this conversation. Fuck it, and fuck you, and fuck everything. I don't fucking care anymore. I don't want any of this anymore. And like, it honestly is just as counterproductive as like not answering the phone, not calling, probably just about as hurtful, just in a different way, as suddenly ignoring the problem and all of that. Like, it is so bizarre. You know, something with ADHD, I had a friend of mine just before I started actually thinking about ADHD and looking up what it was, be like, bro, where is your object permanence? And I was like, I don't really even know what that means. Now I do. Like, I have this notebook. Yeah, neat. Okay. If I were to set it like behind this laptop or on that other desk, it is effectively gone to me and not real until something reminds me of it. You've seen people that like look for their phone in their hand. That's object permanence, is like, or the lack of it, the effect ADHD has on it, is that you can lose stuff in your hand. Last night, my partner made me a drink and set it in a spot where when I walked by to leave the kitchen, I didn't see it, so I didn't grab it. I sat down in the living room, and then I realized I wanted my drink, and I was like, I left my drink in the kitchen. It wasn't in the normal spot. So my brain knew it was next to the fridge on the opposite side of the counter, only because I knew where it wasn't. Because the normal spot is like by the counter by the doorway to the kitchen. I have to put things where I can see them or will see them before I walk away. But I got reminded of that the videos where it's like, what, like the missile knows where it is because it knows where it is not. Like, that's how I deduced where that cup would be. And like, I have a million stories like that. I have so many of these things that really, it's strange to think that no one said anything. All of that didn't trigger anything in anyone to be like, you know what? Maybe Mans has ADHD, like, at least. ADHD, anxiety, and depression seem to coincide together pretty well. And by well, I mean it's just such a good package deal. You usually find the other two with the one. And I'd love to do a follow-up of this. A lot of the things I want to talk about, you know, pretty heavily involve things I have personal stories and attachments with. But I'd love to do a follow-up with you guys. What I will ask of you to engage with this content and tell me something that you have struggled with. You can even do ADHD or depression, something that maybe I didn't say, because obviously the lists are actually pretty long. A lot of people minimize them to understand them, and then a lot of people minimize them to dismiss them, which is very frustrating. I don't like the way that makes me feel, because it tells me that there's no respect, there's not a lot of belief, there's not a lot of desire to see or help the person that they're talking to, saying, oh, well, you know, we all deal with that sometimes. And it's like, yes, we do. Sometimes is such a big key word. Because when you talk to a behavioral health specialist, a psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever, one of the things in the questionnaire is, does this affect your work? Does this affect your ability to work? Does it affect your ability to live? That, I would say, is the easiest way to make the distinction. Yeah. Does everybody sometimes find themselves in a difficult position where they kind of just want to lay down and not do anything or make a decision because it's hard? And like, it's not helpful, but gosh, like, what am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. What can I do? Nothing. Yeah, I think everybody deals with that. But when it's, okay, I have the day off, let me start making a list of the things I want to do. And then you can't sort them into order, any order that makes sense. And you've lost a couple of the ideas in the process in your mind. So now you're not even sure where those would have gone. And if you're trying to rethink of them, you go into thoughts of, okay, maybe I try this first, but well, I don't know, because that happens. And what if I run out of time? Man, I've only got so many hours until maybe I have to go do this thing, or like, what if this person calls me when I'm in the middle of that? And you find yourself laying on your couch with maybe a video or something on TV, accomplishing none of any of that. And the entire time you feel so incredibly guilty and frustrated, and you're mad at yourself, and you wonder if you'll ever accomplish anything. And you sit like that, I don't know, easily a few times a month. It might be something a little more different than what we all experience. But despite all of that, you know what you don't do? Just like you didn't do everything else, you don't kiss. You know what I'm saying? We do not kiss in this house. We do not kiss in this podcast. We do not kiss within the sound of wherever my voice has been. It sounds sad, but you get up eventually and you figure it out. It feels incredibly intense, and it's insane, and it sounds insane, and it feels insane, and we're all insane, but we definitely don't bother. If I can't accomplish anything else, why am I going to try and accomplish kissing? You know what I mean? I got too much other stuff I'm not doing to start doing that. Oh, good. All right. I feel like this is really nailed down an opening episode. I want there to be more segments in the future. I want to work in several things over the course of time. I have bits, I have ideas. Because this is news, or because I'm labeling it as news in the title. Got some fucking news for you. I'll tell you that. It is not going to be news. It's so dumb. So be on the lookout for Skater Burb. Be on the lookout for conspiracy theories. Be on the lookout for reading your comments if I get any, you know what I mean? And you know what? Maybe I'll just go dig them up. Just go find comments somewhere else. Be ready for fake astrology. Not fake astrology. Astrology off the top of my head that does not mean anything. Be on the lookout for some nostalgia. I think this episode went exactly the way I wanted it to in my head, because right there, it got so just crash landing down on... just absolute on the attitude, and then I just ended up cracking myself up, and I hope you guys laughed as well. That this has been really fun, and until next time, don't you fucking kiss. I just want to be like, until next time, don't kiss. I will get you.